Hey son, this is how my YouTube Shorts page looked like after I made my MrBeast-ification video. It is actual hell.
How much money does Mr. Beast make in a day?
I'm gonna show you how much money Mr. Beast actually makes.
Mr. Beast just revealed he's weeks away from becoming a billionaire.
Mr. Beast is dying very soon.
In that video, I mainly focused on Mr. Beast himself and the effect he has had on other people on YouTube. But for this one, I wanted to take a step back. I wanted to take a second and look at the effect that him and the money in his videos has had on us, the people watching his content. This is sort of a blink and you miss it type of thing, but if you look closely, you may notice that there's a lot of money coming into play in Mr. Beast's videos.
We literally have $1 million in cash here. This is $1 million in cash. Would he rather have $100,000?
And as you must know, he is definitely not alone in this. Hotels, boats, private islands, private jets, chefs, everything that you want. Just pure, hard cash on the table, right there, looking at you. Videos that worship money to an insane extent. YouTubers that try to bribe you to subscribe to them.
Speaking of money, if you hit the subscribe button, you can win $1,000 just like this.
And I think it's pretty fascinating, right? To try and figure out at what point does charity turn into vanity? Do we obsess over these YouTubers because of their accomplishments or because of how much money they make? And also, is it a bit weird to be glorifying money to kids to that extent?
So today, I decided to give my credit card to two teenagers with unlimited budget to complete the most epic Mr. Beast spending challenges.
Let's find out. Also, subscribe. There's only one person watching this who isn't subscribed, and if you're not gonna subscribe soon, it's gonna be a bit embarrassing. I have a Patreon now, where if you support me on it, you can get one extra mini video essay a month. More details on that later, though. People obsessing over wealth is a phenomenon that's not really all that new or like special to the internet. Luxuries are cool. Having a car that's really fast and really nice is pretty cool. Even if you don't care about luxuries, money is just obviously something that you need. It gives you freedom to an extent. The freedom to not care about something that's essentially life-threatening. And if you're not in that position already, it makes sense that you will strive to make money, that you will fight for it. The thing I do want to talk about that's a bit more specific to the internet, or at least got popularized on the internet, is people obsessing over the fact that some other guy has money, worshipping some other guy just because he has money.
Joseph Hogue, what's up, dude?
So how much money do you make?
A lot.
How do these people make millions of dollars on YouTube?
How much do you make on YouTube?
YouTube ad revenue ranges anywhere between...
I've been making videos since like 2011. Most of these years just for fun. And it's been really fascinating to see how much stuff has changed on this website during this time. Ian and Anthony from Smosh used to be the biggest channels on YouTube at some point, before PewDiePie. They were massive and they were also unbelievably rich. Still are, probably. But compared to the rich YouTubers of today, I never saw the guys from Smosh going on a tour of podcasts, bragging about how much money they have to everyone.
What is it? Like people that would actually like be able to afford it. Like, yeah, you know, $1 billion if we could own the channel. And
to be fair to Senor Beast, I don't think this is really a question that he strives to answer all the time. It's just that his channel revolves around money. A lot of his content has money in it, and therefore people feel comfortable to ask him about that very thing.
But not that that's like the end goal, but it's just.
Then you know
that's
what's
the thing,
crazy?
like,
You're worth more than WhatsApp.
not right now.
Well, that's your number, and it's reasonable. WhatsApp
but
was
not
9
right now.
billion.
I'm nowhere near that.
I love this little insane response that he has. This little
Well, that's your number, and it's reasonable.
Mr. Beast is trying to explain to be like, oh no, listen, we're not worth more than WhatsApp. We're not worth 20 billion or however they're worth. This is just my goal. This is something that I want to do or be at in the next few years for my company. But this guy, he doesn't care.
Well,
He just wants to get his big fat scoop out of this interview. He's like, oh, no.
well,
I need to make a YouTube short out of this that's gonna be posted on a bunch of Sigma male YouTube short channels. Don't you dare contradict me again.
WhatsApp
but
was
not
9
right now.
billion.
I'm nowhere near that.
It almost shows a direct shift. People didn't really judge Smosh for being millionaires, but being millionaires wasn't their thing. It wasn't something that they included as part of their brand. And nowadays, there's an obsession that exists with YouTubers that is completely separated with their actual content. People really love standing on the sidelines and clapping as some other guy is making his millions, which could happen to you with the help of today's sponsor, Wondershare Demo Creator. Demo Creator is a great place to start things off if you want to become a YouTuber. It's an all-in-one platform for content creation. It's great not only for screen recording and editing, but also just for content planning in general. I use it personally to record little bits of my screen for videos, but if you're into making some gaming content, then it's a great place for that. Also, if you're just into just sharing gaming stuff in general. Then if you're not really comfortable with showing your face, you can use one of their many avatars that like capture your facial expressions and stuff. It's pretty cool. Something that I personally love is their presentation making tool. It's pretty great. I mean, back when I was still studying, I used to make a lot of really good presentations, and honestly, I wish I had access to this because this is way better than PowerPoint. Check out the link in the description to try out Demo Creator for free before making any sort of purchase. With the free version, you can edit and record on it, but it will have a bit of a watermark. Alright, let's get back to the video. Thank you, Demo Creator, for sponsoring me. A lot of people tend to use others as inspiration, not because of their accomplishments, but because they'd go on a podcast hosted by some other YouTube millionaire, tell them, hey, I made a billion trillion dollars this month. I'm gonna make another billion trillion dollars. See if you can stop me. Which is actually true for my case. I'm incredibly rich.
So last month I made a roughly $60,000 for 1 month.
And you know, the funny thing is, the reality of things is that YouTube is really a job where a big old idiot could make a lot of money. You can get rich on YouTube even if you're insanely dumb. Being insanely dumb might even help you. With MrBeast, at least we're talking about some guy who like works all the time and like is really dedicated to what he does. He's clearly learned this like website better than anyone else. But like, what, Rice Gum? Really? Logan Paul, like the first few years of his career, he just got like popular off of being the biggest piece of shit around.
Here I am. I just made $3 million in 3 days.
I know that he changed a lot in recent years, but come on, is that really the model that you want to follow? Obviously, not all of this like, oh, let's ask this guy how much he's making. Not all of that comes off of just like a need to admire someone. A lot of people, myself included, tend to be a bit curious. Maybe you want to do it yourself and you want to figure out how to get into things. That makes sense. I fully accept that as a reason. It's really whenever this music starts playing at the background of things, this thing that you're hearing, that's when I realize exactly the tone of the video. When this song starts playing, it's dick sucking time. Everybody needs to get on their knees and be like, oh wow, this YouTuber is impressive.
3 days ago, I sold $1 million.
Whoa, this guy's a badass. There's this like kind of back and forth. YouTubers, almost as part of this job, have a need for validation. And therefore, they like going on these podcasts and flaunting their wealth all the time. Telling everyone, hey, I've made a lot of money this month. Look at me.
90 days, I have made $154,000.
You make millions of dollars. You don't
Billions.
You don't billions of dollars.
A billion trillion. And now the cool thing for YouTubers is that people respond to this positively. People look at this and are like, oh, hell yeah, this guy rocks. Oh my god, this guy rocks so hard because he makes a lot of money. Well, MrBeast isn't really someone who obsesses over money in his own life, as we've seen him talk about in many interviews.
So you don't go crazy at all with cash?
No.
You don't?
No. I really try not to. I think that's like just a bad way to go about life.
He is still fully aware of the power that seeing money, seeing actual physical cash all up in your face, has on a viewer. And it's kind of fascinating, you know, you can Google the words big old bunches of money and show it to someone, and they probably will have some sort of an emotional reaction deep down.
This is a never-ending giant mountain of cash. And as much cash as you can carry, you can keep.
What does seeing this make you feel? Is it comfort? Is it greed? Is it maybe disgust? Even though in many places in the Western world we don't use physical cash as much anymore, just seeing it has some sort of power over us.
Never-ending giant mountain of cash.
I think that money can have more of a mythical vibe to it, I guess. Something that transcends its physical need of just, you know, a bunch of paper that we use to buy cool things and buy food and buy any sort of necessities. We see it in media, we see it in game shows, and MrBeast is fully aware of that power, and he uses it in his videos for content. I mentioned it a bit in the last video, but Ryan Trahan made a series where he traveled America using 1 penny. What does that mean essentially? Well, he had 1 penny, traded it up to a bunch of other stuff, until he had enough money to buy plane tickets, buy buses. Something that I really enjoyed about these videos is that there was never this sort of glorification of money, right? You know, he was just using it as a necessity. The money in these videos actually seemed like a scarce thing, right? He never had a bit of the video where Ryan was throwing bundles of cash around as if it's trash. While the video's goal was never to try and show him as like not a rich guy, you could really tell that every bit of money took a lot of work. The main focus of these videos was Ryan, the people that he met along the way, and the charity that this was all for, Feeding America. He talked about that charity all the time, and he seemed genuinely emotional just from the realization that what he's doing is helping so many people.
Can't believe the generosity that I've seen. It's been so inspiring. My heart is so full right now.
Now, during the series, Ryan had a few incentives, a few little bits and things to try and get people to donate a lot of money. One of them was that if someone donated over $50,000, Ryan's money that he has earned over the series would essentially reset. It would turn to zero. Bit of a cool little fun thing. Now, obviously, everyone who donated essentially at the end of the day did a good deed, right? They fed a lot of people. I forgot what the ratio is between money and food, but yeah, $50,000 for a charity is definitely a really nice thing to do. But what this was used for in a lot of cases in this series, it just ended up feeling a bit cynical to me. Essentially, people doing charity for a better public image. Charity for clout, as you may call it. Dylan, we talked about that guy in my last video. I found out about him through the Ryan Trahan series, so you could say that this tactic worked perfectly for him. This guy, as Ryan was like traveling around in whatever city he was at the time, showed up suddenly with the big old briefcase with $50,000 in cash. A bunch of money in a box in all its glory for us to look at and enjoy.
$25,000. Surprising someone with this amount of money is the craziest thing I've ever done.
No, you didn't.
He MrBeast-ified it. And you know, at moments like this, I feel a bit conflicted. Am I not supposed to say that this is like a cynical use of charity if at the end of the day this has helped a lot of people? Because it does feel a bit wrong, but you know, at the end of the day, I haven't donated $50,000 to anyone, so can I really judge this guy? Whatever the answer to that question is, it's still pretty clear what's happening here. While Dylan did do a good thing, that wasn't really his focus here, right? He just wanted to look like a big YouTuber holding a bunch of cash in his hands. He made a whole video about it, again in MrBeast style, where he does a bunch of challenges to double his money from $25,000 to $50,000.
In this briefcase, I have $25,000. And I have 5 days to double this.
And he's like supposed to double it in the next few days, but the things that he does, these aren't things that would double your money. He like gets slapped. He jumps off of a plane. Jumping off a plane isn't something that you make money from. It costs money. It's a thing that costs you a bunch of money. Editing Pinely note here. I'm going over this. I just remembered. He gets the money because YouTubers tell him to do like a bunch of challenges and then they donate the money. So I want to say, I know I'm ragging on this guy. Please remember, he didn't actually do anything evil or anything like that. I'm sort of just examining a situation. I'm examining a situation that I find interest in. Dylan seems like a nice guy. He has a very kind smile. Okay.
Activate disintegrators.
Giving money to people is something that makes MrBeast look good. You can debate all day whether what he's doing is genuine or not, whether he gives the money out just to help his public image, or whether he does it out of the goodness of his heart. You can say whatever you want, but the reality of things is that, yeah, it makes him look good. It would make anyone look good, obviously. Personally speaking, I do think that he's genuine. When he goes on podcasts and he talks about giving money away to people, about helping people out, it seems like this is something that he actually cares about, and I believe him. What can I say?
Also, it is a little hypocritical because I run a non-profit, and you know, we have you seen our Beast Philanthropy channel?
No.
Can you pull that up as well? We do a lot of stuff for helping people, and so also if I lived in a $10 million mansion while I'm feeding people and trying to help people, Also, in my eyes, it's also a little hypocritical as well. So,
and if you look at his videos from the past year, there are less and less of them where money is flaunted as like the forefront of everything. Yes, it's obviously still there funding everything that he does, but nowadays it feels like this cash is just the thing that funds all the big things that he does, rather than the whole focus of the video. Maybe working with these people directly influenced him. Who knows? What I do know is that he has obviously created a bit of a trend where now people on YouTube can just essentially do what they want, and if they give someone a bit of cash afterwards, they are fully above any sort of criticism. I can attest to that phenomenon myself, because after my last MrBeast-ification video, I have gotten a swarm of comments, a swarm of haters. In that video, I talked about a YouTuber named Fidias. You may recall him, you probably do. He's the guy that made the video spending 100 hours in the world's poorest country. One of my least favorite, like, uploads of all time, of all time. In the video, as you may remember, Fidias goes to a country named Burundi, a country in Africa that is absolutely poor. They're facing a lot of problems caused by that poverty and along with that poverty. Without going over too many things that I already mentioned in the last thing, this video makes a spectacle out of these people's living situations. He goes into a person's home and essentially has he does like the meme, like where Goofy goes into that lady's house and says, "Damn lady, you really live like this?" He essentially does that in real life.
This is a house of a person here. Look at this. People actually live here. Oh my word, this is an actual house.
The peak of this video is when he tries to go into an orphanage and film all the poor orphan children for content.
I wanted to see the poorest people in the poorest country, so we went to the orphanage.
It's a video that's truly a product of its time, and by that I mean now. It's a product of now, just right now, right this instant. I already talked about that video in length and the other thing. It doesn't matter anymore. What does matter at this moment is the mean comments that people left under my video. After I said what I said, I saw a bunch of people attacking me, crucifying me. Poor little Or. That's my actual name, by the way. I'm just a little guy, and they try to kill me in the comment section for daring to criticize Fidias for his very clear exploitation of these people's financial state. Why was I the one that was in the wrong? Oh, you know, it's simple. It's because Fidias did two things at the end of this video. A, he gives a disabled guy a wheelchair, and B, he starts some sort of fundraiser where he's gonna match the donations and at the end of it, give a bunch of money to the people of Burundi. Two very, very nice acts. Two nice acts I've never done before in my life. You see, in the eyes of those people who dared to attack me, poor old me, doing those two things is essentially like a get out of jail free card. You do a bunch of stuff that is kind of questionable, you use a bunch of poor people for content, but hey, you gave them money, so no one has the right to criticize you now. It's sort of like a safe net for big YouTubers and, you know, just really rich people and companies in general. The company Nestle has a very nice page bragging about all of their charity work. As the world's largest food and beverage company, we know that we are uniquely positioned to help people in communities that span our business. That's why during this pandemic, we've been using blah 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 blah. Oh my god, I'm getting a few tears in my eye because this was so nice. Oh my god, I'm getting so many tears in my eyes that I can't even read about how Nestle demanded millions of dollars from Ethiopia as they were dealing with an actual water shortage in their country. Can't even read anything about all those child labor allegations. Oh, obviously, I don't think that Fidias is doing anything as bad as what Nestle has done over the years. It's still the same practice, isn't it? Do a bunch of morally questionable things for your own gain, and in the meantime, also throw a bunch of money on some other thing to make yourself look a bit better. Hopefully, people focus on that. It's important and a lovely thing to give back to people if you have the privilege to do so. That's like obvious, right? But I also don't think that we should just ignore the really obvious fact that doing all of this, there's something to gain from that, you know? It's not always just for the sake of charity. All this shit is probably a big reason as to why people worship them that much. They're like, oh, this person is great. I mean, you know, look what he's doing with his money. He's incredible. It makes people feel better with cheering these dudes on as they keep making their empires more and more huge.
Now, how much is in this hat?
Gee, $1 billion or more than that.
See what I mean? They were nowhere near.
I don't think that glorifying money to children to this extent is really good. These videos celebrate just the essence of money. It's absolutely everywhere. And a big portion of whoever watches these videos are kids. That's why with every single MrBeast copycat, you're gonna find a video where they're giving some 0-year-old baby $1 billion.
So today, I decided to give my credit card to 2 teenagers with unlimited budget to complete the most epic MrBeast spending challenges.
None of these words are in the Bible. I hate that people on YouTube don't actually speak in real English anymore. They just say, what did she say again?
To complete the most epic MrBeast spending challenge.
To complete the most epic MrBeast spending challenges. I guess challenges, that's probably in the Bible. From a very young age, kids arrive to the realization that money is kind of cool. It's this thing that you can use to buy yourself candy and chocolates and games and toys. Why wouldn't it be good? And so these videos where a kid is granted a magical card with what seems to them as unlimited money are like magical to them. They seem fantastic. Obviously, this is unrealistic. The vast majority of the kids watching this sort of content will never have access to this sort of insane, crazy money from anyone. And you can make the case, I guess I'm making the case, that pumping this money obsession into kids' heads again and again and again with every video that you make really sets them on a path to be very materialistic people.
Okay, so for this next challenge, whatever Mila touches, you guys get to buy. You have 10 minutes and $1,000.
These videos, simply put, kind of freak me out. You know, it's not really the fact that these parents are giving their own children money. It's their money. I don't really care. But it's more the fact that there's like 50 billion of these videos. Like you just can look up giving my kid a credit card and just scroll down and it would feel infinite. Just like kind of freaked out by like how much these videos glorify being rich to children. Most kids are not going to be mega rich. Most kids are not going to be these like multi-million-dollar family channel owners. And I'm also just really unsettled by the general vibe of these videos, I guess. This kind of celebration, this festival of money and cash and being rich.
Oh my god! I want to get all these gold ones. I want all of them. Oh my god. Excuse me, I want all of these. So show me about all these watches. Good job spending money.
It really just feels so hollow. Like that's such a hollow of a lesson to teach a child. Imagine if you just finished watching like, I don't know, Sesame Street, and at the end of it, goddamn Elmo shows up in a Lamborghini and is like, hey kid, do you want to be in my position? Well, too bad, sucker. You know, these family channels on YouTube are obviously like pretty fake and fabricated. And when you show millions of children, tens of millions, I don't know how many have seen these videos, the fact that this is reality, you can't help but wonder, what lesson are they left with over here? And this got me thinking about MrBeast's videos, the big dog himself. In Jimmy's content, there's this situation. There are a lot of different themes clashing around. The theme of given, you know, Jimmy goes out, he helps people, he has his beast philanthropy thing that's really lovely. You could very, very confidently say that MrBeast's videos give kids the lesson that, you know, helping is good. It's just something that you should do.
I've had hundreds of parents, probably even 1,000 at this point, tell me stories of like their kids watch that and then when they get Tooth Fairy money, they want to go donate it to charity.
But what I was kind of interested in exploring is figuring out at the end, when a kid finishes watching a MrBeast video, what gets stuck in their head? Is it all the generous acts that MrBeast does? Or is it the fact that you often see him just covered in a big pile of cash and like, just a lot of big piles of cash everywhere. Just a bunch of... That's why I decided to do a little bit of research, a little bit of scientific, it's not actually scientific at all, a little bit of scientific research. I asked my 10-year-old brother, who's a massive MrBeast fan, a few questions about the guy to figure that exact thing out.
I asked him, why do you get excited when you see a big pile of cash in one of Jimmy's videos? He said that the money feels nice when it's in your hands. I asked him why and like, what does it mean? And he had a really hard time trying to elaborate on that one, which I think kind of points to that glorification of cash, this otherworldly feeling that it has, that's sort of undescribable. When I asked him what are the first things he thinks of when it comes to MrBeast, the things that he talked about weren't actually money related at all. He said, cool, king, nice and kind-hearted, which was kind of lovely. When I asked him what would he do if he had MrBeast's money, he more or less said everything that MrBeast already does in his videos. Give people cars, give houses to people in need, buy family and friends things so they're not in need, and probably the most unconventional answer you'd ever get from a 10-year-old, buy out all the slaughterhouses in the world so they don't kill the animals anymore.
This was really when I realized that my research was a bit ass, and I'm not a scientist. I'm not a scientist at all. I shouldn't have had any dreams of being a scientist at any point in time. I'm only asking one person, and that's my brother. What kind of research is that? Hey, I'm not really objective in this situation, but I think that my brother is also pretty unique for a 10-year-old. I don't think he really represents the rest of his demographic. He's a 10-year-old vegan, for Christ's sake. So to get a few more responses and to, I guess, broaden this research, I got him to send the same questions to a bunch of his friends. But their responses were, I mean, they resembled a lot more what I expected to see from this questionnaire. What's the first thing you think of when it comes to MrBeast? $1 million. Why do you like seeing a lot of money in videos? Because it's a lot of money. What's the thing that excites you the most about his videos? That he gives people a lot of money. Why is it cool to see a lot of money in videos? Because he brings a lot of money. Every single one of these answers had the word money in it. While a bunch of these kids did mention that it was nice and created a good feeling to see other people receive that money, you can still see that this sort of glorification that exists within his videos has definitely gone to their heads. Does that cancel out all the positive things that they learn from his videos? No, it doesn't. And frankly, there are people who do this thing way worse than him. There are people who do this whole like celebration of money without the added lesson at the end of things. It's just showing money for the sake of showing money because it's cool. I just sometimes get a bit of an off feeling from some of these videos that it just feels like I'm essentially watching a Kids Bob version of The Wolf of Wall Street. A movie that tackles all the things that we talked about so far and are going to talk about is The Wolf of Wall Street. A film that quite ironically gets worshipped by the exact people that it criticizes. There are gonna be some spoilers, by the way, though I don't really think this matters for a film like this. The Wolf of Wall Street talks about the story of Jordan Belfort, a real-life Wall Street scammer who has actually scammed a lot of people. He has scammed both rich people and poor people because it's just what he likes doing. He loves scamming so much. This movie talks about a lot of stuff, but one of the themes that it tackles again and again and again is the concept of people following someone, a certain figure, just because of the fact that they have money and they flaunt it all the time. The very first scene with Jonah Hill's character Donnie, he goes up to the Wolf of Wall Street, Jordan Belfort, and asks him how much money has he made this month.
How much money you made? I don't know. 70,000 last month.
After hearing this truly insane amount, Donnie decides that this is it. He's gonna pack his bags and follow this dude till the end of times. Kinda similar to people following Andrew Tate around just because he constantly brags about how rich he is. After this, Jordan clearly learns from this interaction. He realizes that his wealth has a lot more power than just buying him cool things like cars and watches and whatever. It also makes it so people start looking at him in a different way, a way that benefits him quite a bit. It makes them follow him around, almost like a prophet. In that moment, being rich truly becomes a big part of Jordan's identity. He mentions it at every speech that he does in front of the company that he eventually builds up. In those scenes where Jordan talks to his employees, his admirers, these bits remind us almost of like an evangelical priest talking to his church. Look at him on stage talking to these people. It feels religious. Not only because of his charisma, which Leonardo DiCaprio obviously has a lot of, but also because they know how much money he has. He says it all the time. He loves the fact that people are admiring him because of his wealth, because of his car, because of his big mansion. He really gets off of that idea. The movie makes it abundantly clear that Jordan is a false prophet, not only to the people that he defrauds with his evil pump and dump schemes, but also to literally everyone around him. You know, he pretends to live this glorious life while his marriage is falling apart bit by bit. The second half of this movie is just dedicated to showing us his life collapsing. His wife leaves him after he assaults her. He traumatizes his child. He loses his entire business. He loses his friends that he built this thing with because he ratted them out. The movie presents Jordan in the second half of this thing as a pathetic shell of a man, someone that you should never ever follow. It shows you that if you value money over literally anything else, you have nothing. And if you follow those people who value money over everything else, you're gonna be left with nothing as well. There's over an hour of this movie that you can watch dedicated to this exact message very clearly. I think it's really hard to miss, and yet people still look at the first half of this thing as the bit that you're supposed to be inspired by. People remember this movie as like a flick about just a cool guy who goes around the town defrauding everyone. The clip that I showed you earlier of Donnie following this guy just because of how much money he makes, that was posted on one of those bullshit ass alpha sigma whatever male YouTube shorts accounts that are only there to inspire you to get that bag.
You show me a pay stub for $72,000 on it, I quit my job right now and I work for you. Hey, Paulie, what's up? No, everything's fine. Hey, listen, I quit.
Donnie himself is not supposed to be someone that you imitate. He's a freak, degenerate, money simp weirdo who has sex with his own cousin. Is that your inspiration? Is that really who you're inspired by? This little freak goblin dude? Not talking about Jonah Hill, by the way. I think he's a sweetheart. Nowadays, we see a lot of little freaks like Donnie. The really extreme ones would follow Andrew Tate, would follow someone like Sneeko, who I've talked about in the past, because these dudes just brag all the time. I mean, that's like a lot of what they do. And I think there's also a little bit of Donnie inside of us, you know? I think recently I watched this video. I asked YouTube millionaires how much they make. I guess I was a bit curious. So he goes up to Fidias, the guy that we talked about earlier with a poor people video, poor people country video.
How much money I make? I make around $30,000 per month. One sponsor per month, around 15K that we get, and 15K AdSense, so $30,000 per month. Congratulations, bro. I wish you the best.
Congratulations.
I have to say that this guy, that's the best.
Congratulations, man, on the poor people money video. The other day, I was sitting at my friend's Tommy's living room. Tommy in it, the big YouTuber. I'm friends with other YouTubers, guys. I was actually working on this very script. I originally planned on ending it in a very different way. Unrelated to this, he decided to show me this following video. Before playing it, he introduced it as the most viewed thing that he's ever been in, and I was like, okay, let's watch it. Come on, Tommy. Come on, play me the...
Bro, you're 17 years old. You make millions of dollars. You don't go
billions.
You don't billions of dollars. You don't go to
NFT.
school. You make...
This video has 54 million views. That's insane. It was posted on a channel called Make Money Work For You Shorts. It's definitely supposed to be like a Sigma male inspirational type thing, because this fucking song is playing again. This stupid...
You make millions of dollars. You don't go
billions.
You don't billions of dollars.
You can essentially say anything with this playing in the background, and you'll just have a bunch of dudes like in the back of the room jerking themselves off, whispering to themselves, hell yeah, bro, let's get this bag. The funniest thing about this short is that what Tommy says in it comes in full contradiction to like who it's meant to be for. First of all, Logan is trying to squeeze out of Tommy an admission over how much money he makes, like the rest of these stupid ass videos.
How rich are you?
Very.
How much money have you made from YouTube at 15 years old?
$1 million.
What Tommy does instead of these people is that he doesn't actually answer the question. He replies with a joke.
You make millions of dollars. You don't go
Billions.
He says he makes billions, which isn't true. It's a bit of a joke, bit of a goof. He's not a billionaire.
You go to public school?
Still go now? How do you get treated?
I'm just a guy that makes videos, you know, who cares?
Nah, bro. You're famous as fuck. You're like one of UK's.
Oh, you get recognized down the street. That doesn't mean I'm just a guy. When I'm in the pub, all the 40-year-olds, some of them give a shit about me.
And his sentiment in the rest of the video is very, very clear. You know, he shouldn't be worshipped because of how much money he makes. He's not a top G or whatever. It's a statement that comes in full contradiction to this YouTube short that he's trapped in, this little box. Everything about this video is fascinating. Did they actually think that he was serious when he said that he was making billions? He literally threw in the word NFT out of nowhere, like pretending he's like Gary Vee or whatever.
Go to school.
Well, clearly they do, because this video is titled Tommy Innit Says He Makes Billions. This is the moment that I realized that all these people are a bunch of idiots. These sigma male, alpha male, whatever hustle culture fucking idiots. I mean, I actually knew that for a while, but like, wow, it really is on display in this video. Tommy told me that after this video became viral, people would approach him in the street, calling him Top G, as if he's like, Andrew Tate. A person can be inspired by many things. I'm not taking a dig on that. Again, if you want to look at Mr. Beast and be like, oh, this is a hardworking guy, I want to be hardworking, and you kind of look at him and try to do what he does to the extent of, you know, copying his work ethic, fine, whatever. You do you. I don't really care. If his charity work inspires you, that's also cool. But if it's just the fact that he has a few $1 million in his bank account and that's it, what are you even doing? All right, cool stuff. Like I said earlier in the video, I have in fact started a Patreon. It's kind of funny to talk about Patreon in a video about money, but I do want to explain the situation right now. Going into the next year, one thing that I really want to do is focus on making just video essays for this channel, and I want to make them really, really good. And to do that, the thing I need the most is time, essentially. And the main problem when it comes to taking your time on YouTube is that when you do that, you just make less money. You upload less, you get less views, and then you have a bit of a rough time paying for rent this month. The reason I decided to start this Patreon is because I want to give this a real shot. I want to take my time with videos. I don't want to have to post like a more of a reaction-y type thing or something that I don't feel like I've put my whole heart into just to kind of, you know, make more money and be able to afford life a bit better. The link will be in the description. It's just patreon.com/pinely. You'll be getting some pretty cool rewards as well, like one extra mini video essay a month. I'll be opening a Patreon-only Discord that you can join. Your name could show up at the end of the video. There's more rewards. You can check it out yourself. Also, if you reach the end of this, make sure to leave one of those comments that are like, can we take a moment to appreciate X thing that Pinely does? They leave them all over Mr. Beast's videos, and I kind of want that for myself. I think that's a bit fun. Okay, goodbye.